Okay, let's get started. Okay, right there. This overlap is something that a lot of newer players do. They don't really consider their interactions between previous objects as much. So it's something to be really aware of. That's not to say that overlapping is always bad, but in a lot of cases, newer mappers don't think it through. And when you when you overlap unintentionally, it's usually a bad luck pattern. So what's something that this player can do to fix this up is potentially stack. This looks a lot better. Well, we'd have to rotate this pattern so that it looks a little bit nicer. So that's a potential way to avoid the overlap. That might not be the exact intention. So the other way is to very simply, I'm using the Control Z to undo, is to simply move this around over here. Which doesn't change the flow all too much. The spacing is almost the same, so it's not that big of an issue to change this up. But the change in the overlap is a lot more noticeable and a lot more important. So also this could be symmetrical over the x-axis, something like here. So that might just look a little bit better, and this should probably be stacked as well. If we're gonna do that. Okay, this part has a potential problem in the rhythm. I'm not exactly sure how big of a problem it is, but what you do is you emphasize the piano with a lot of half notes, and so that's kind of intense, right? And then here, the music starts to pick up. There's more instruments added. You still have that piano layer on the music. This feels more intense. Oh, sorry. This measure here, what I mean by measure is the distance between this big white tick. This is a big white tick, right? And then this is a big white tick over here. And so a measure is the unit of music in between these two big white ticks. These white ticks are often referred as downbeats. Okay, so let's fix this up. So this measure of the music feels more intense, but you decrease the note density of the rhythm, meaning these were circles that you had to click a lot, now you have to click only a little. What that does is that the player has a certain level of intensity, how difficult it is, how engaged they are, and they become less engaged when you use rhythms that are not as note dense, like long sliders. So this is a potential problem in the sense that your pacing is off. This might need to be stronger by not having these long sliders, so that way you represent some of the actual rhythm in the music. So I guess one thing you could do is again do the same kind of rhythm here. Some people don't like the repetition of the rhythm, so another option you could do is to use more sliders, or not as long sliders, and go with this drum track here. There's a note on this half note, so you might want to do something like this. And then this could also be a slider if you wanted it to. No, not in this current situation. I guess you could do something like this, but I'm not sure which one's better. Any which way, there's a lot of rhythms you could use like this. Yeah. That picks up at a certain rhythm, because you want to make this section stronger than the other one. So that's the idea. Also, I'm not concerned about the flow right here. I just wanted to provide the time bar view what this would look like. But then you'd have to get into here, and that might make not a good level for insane. So options, options, options. So just to fill out the rhythm, Yeah, so. So this could be an option. This might be a little too advanced for this level of difficulty. And then you would copy this again. To pick up that drum track sound. Could work, might not work. So this isn't necessary, but if you want to keep the feel of the drums, this might help you out do that. So, again, I think it's probably a little too advanced for this level of difficulty, but I want to provide you the options. The other rhythm was also kind of fun, too, so those are your options. Or there's probably more, but whatever. Anyway, so how did I get this yellow tick to show up? Well, I guess I should talk about that. So what you have is these white ticks across here. So this represents a beat, so it's like bump, 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 bump. That's kind of your beat of the track. And then you can put in notes in between them. So then you can have half beats, so it's bump, 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 bump. I probably did it wrong. Bump, 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 bump. Right? So this would be 1/2 of a beat, so it's called a 1/2 beat. So red ticks are 1/2 beat. And then you can increase it further by doing 1/4 beat, which is this. So it's and then if you go even further, which is what I had to do in order to get that feel there, it would be 1/8 beat. So the hotkey that I'm using is the control mouse wheel. Otherwise, you could just do it from up here. You just manually shift this way. Now you might say, oh, okay, well, what about this 1/3 object? What is this? Not all music has this, but sometimes you'll have rhythms where it'll go in thirds. So it's actually what I did earlier. It's I don't know, that was 1/4. Well, you get the idea. That there's 3 beats instead of only. You're dividing each beat by 3 instead of only 2. So that's how you would access that if it's 1/3. But you don't see that in all the beat maps, so don't worry about it too much. Anyway. Put this back. Okay, so this part right here, there are better ways to make the wave slider. I can probably link you a guide on that. I don't want to cover that too much. But the real issue is that this is just too short for it to really look good. Even if this was a perfect wave slider, it just looks too cramped as it is right now. So it's not that this is bad. It's just that you need to have a little bit more room in order to support that. And since you don't, you only want to use a 1/2 slider for this rhythm, I don't think you can really pull that off. So you're going to need to work it out a little bit better. Okay, so this is this part I like to talk about because it gets into a little bit of an advanced kind of deal. First off, is that these are slightly not the same curvature. What I mean is that if you rotate this by like 22 or something, if you rotate it by 112 or something, you can see that these aren't exactly perfect. A lot of people aren't going to notice it, but there's no need to be this imperfect when you simply have the option of copy pasting. That's what I usually do in a lot of beat maps, is that I'll have a few different sliders that I kind of like. I'll have, maybe this kind of slider, straight slider, maybe a little bit more curved. Right. So I'll have these 3 options as sliders, and I'll only copy paste between the 3. This will keep the map looking a little bit more cohesive because you're using the same curvatures. The patterns will start to feel like similar again. So you don't need to make new sliders every single time. Just copy, paste, and rotate. So that's let's put that back all the way back. So I'm going to copy, paste, and rotate. So how much do I rotate this by? Well, if we look at the original pattern, what I don't like about this is that this angle right here isn't as cohesive as it could be. What could be done is to have some kind of symmetry, right? So there could be a line kind of like going like this, right? And you want to make it symmetrical across this line. That'll make it really good. But how do you figure out what exactly that line is, and how much you rotate things by. So what you do is, in this case, you start to put this guy here, right? Let's say you like this position, where this slider end is right there and this slider end is right there. I actually, just for my purposes, I kind of wanted to put it a little bit over this way, and I'll turn off grid snap, because you should turn off grid snap, because I don't like it. So this is where I want my distances to go. So I'm going to actually copy paste. Right, but I need to rotate this so that it looks kind of like what it did before. And by using the selection center, I keep this position that I wanted a little here. So then I'll keep on rotating whatever. So I want it to look something like this, but I also want it to be perfectly symmetrical along that line. So how do I get it to do that? Well, the first thing that I'll do is show you a trick. If you use the Control-G hotkey, what happens is that you switch the position of the heads of the sliders, right? And let's say I'm using a certain rhythm, right? Let's say with this kind of thing. If you do Control-G on these, now it flips it so that it starts the other way. Okay, so I'm going to use that hotkey, and the reason I did that is because it shows the endpoint of this slider. So if you look over here, you know, these are the same copy-pasted slider, but you see that I don't have the slider node here. I do have it here, and that's because you do Control-G twice. Now, one thing I'm upset to learn is that this isn't a normal conventional slider. There's a problem with that, in the sense that this is not very circular, so it's not a very good neutral slider. This is an acceptable slider in certain situations, just not as like a nice curvy one. What you want is to have the normal kind of curve, because what this does is that it really is a perfect circle. Like I can show you right here. If I take this slider and I move it around, it's going to be a really big circle with exactly what it was going over here. So, right, that's why I like, and having it be a circle is kind of important. So, yeah, I prefer to do that, but I will leave it be the way it was. But know that you should probably fix that. Okay. So, how do I get this to work? And actually, you know what? No, this is probably too much. I'm going to do this. Okay. So I'm going to use this type of flow here. But I still don't have this being symmetrical. So how do I make it symmetrical? Let's finally answer that question. So this has a certain position on the grid. If you look up here, there's coordinates. And right now the head is at 82,116. But the tail, and this is why it's important to get the slider node, the tail is at 40,169 if you look up here. I have to hover over it, which is a little annoying, but you know, hey, you get used to it. So, and then I look at the position of this, and the head is 49,242. So what I want to do is I want to rotate it so that these have the same x coordinates. So I will make sure that I retain my position here by having a circle, moving it over. So that way when I rotate this, like this, you know, oops. When I rotate this like this, I'll lose this position for now, but because I put a circle here, I'll be able to get it back. So I rotated that by like 5, I think. I just want to make sure, because that number will be important. So for right now, it's just a trial and error. We got this to 41, we got this to 47, so we clearly need to do more. That was 3 last time. I'll try 6. 43, 45. Okay, so it wasn't 6, but it's close. Try 8. Maybe a little too much. Yeah, so, well, probably not going to get better than this, but we'll try 7.